Normally I'd say check it out if I was doing a guitar review. What I really want to talk about is the new singles that have come out from Extreme and a clinic I went to in 1990, or August of 1990, that Nuno Bettencourt had when he was introducing his N4 guitar. Before we get started, if you could click and subscribe and smash the like button, as they say, and at the very end of the video, I'll do the solo for our Decadent Dance. I guess I wanted to get started real quick. It won't be a long video. Extreme over the past, was it 2 months, or had like 3 singles come out: Rise, Banshee, and Rebel. And it seems that Nuno is getting so much attention, doing lots of interviews I've seen. And I'd like to say he's getting his due. You know, this is one of the greatest guitar players ever. He's my top 5 favorites. I mean, up there with Eddie Van Halen, he's that good. And I've been a fan of Extreme since the first time I heard them. I had seen the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and there's that scene that they're running through the mall and they're playing this song. And I'm like, what is this? It was just crazy guitar playing. It was just amazing. And then, you know, I went back, I was at school, and I was talking to one of my friends about it, and I said, you know, I saw this movie, and I don't know who the band was, but they were playing this song, and the guitar solo was amazing. And he said, oh, it's this band Extreme. They just came out with an album. So I immediately went to Strawberries, which was a local record store, or a chain record store they had in New England, got it, and I was hooked. The songs like Kid Ego, Watching, Waiting, and then they had a song called Mother Don't Want to Go to School Today. And the beginning of it had this intro where he's playing a little clean, he's tapping, and he just shreds through it. I was like, wow. And then, you know, I really got to sit down and listen to the solo for the song Play With Me. And it was just like, I was amazed. I was just blown away. I'm like, this guy's up there. He's awesome. And I've been a fan ever since. And then when they came out with Pornografiti, I thought that was an amazing album. I think, unfortunately, they got a little too much attention for Wholehearted and More Than Words, which More Than Words was a huge song. And at the time, I think within the guitar community, or guitar players and musicians, you know, liked the album because, you know, Nuno's playing he's got so many good rhythms. It's just moving all the time, kind of funky, great solos, great songwriting, great melodies, just a great band. I love Gary Sharon's voice. And then, you know, they had the album 3 Sides to Every Story, and that was awesome. And then they had Waiting for the Punchline. And, you know, by that time, the whole grunge thing was happening. And if you could play guitar really well, it was looked down upon. And, you know, and then, you know, then they took a break for a while. You know, Gary went to Van Halen and Nuno was doing other stuff. And a couple of years ago, they had another album that came out. And they tour a lot. I'd go and see them. But the main thing was, you know, I just laughing when I talk about how this Rise is incredible and the Guitar Hero is back. But the Guitar Hero has always been around. Nuno's always been awesome. I mean, every song I can think of, even if he's not doing some solo, just his songwriting is great. The rhythms are great. I can't give him enough praise. I mean, just one of my favorite players, just so good. And, you know, just the first time I heard them, I was hooked. And also, I just want to talk about a couple of things about that. I'm looking forward. They're going to be coming to New England, I think around August, so I'm definitely going to go see them. They always put a good show on. I saw them when they opened up for Aerosmith back in October, and it was just great. Even I was with some people that didn't know much about Extreme. They knew them, but just didn't know them. And they were just amazed, like, how come I never knew these songs or this and that? And they said, well, just get it. They just loved it. Once they saw them, they were hooked, so that's great for them. Speaking of guitars, I'm looking to get my hands on, I think, an N4, I think it's N4 Vintage or a Paddock. They're very expensive guitars. I'd like to try to find one on deal. That's how I usually get guitars, when they're getting a hot deal, and I'll jump on it. But if anybody from Washburn or Associated is watching, I'd love to get my hands on a Paddock or an N4 Vintage, and I could do some videos. Just put it out there. But to get back to Nuno, I'm really glad he's getting a lot of attention. The band's getting a lot of attention. They're just great musicians, great songwriters, great performers. So I can't praise them enough. And maybe down the road, I'll do a video of my top 5 players and why I think they're my top 5. And obviously, Nuno's going to be in there. But also, I wanted to talk about In August of 1990, Nuno had a clinic at EU Woolitzers, which was a chain in New England. And I went to it, and I'm going to throw some pictures up, because this is right around the time when their second album, Pornografiti, came out. And I hadn't got the album just yet. I think it was around that week the album was coming out, and I'm not sure how I heard about the clinic, but immediately went and I brought I'm going to throw up a picture of me outside right before we're going in. My uncle had given me like one of those mini tape recorders, a micro recorder, I think it's called, because I wanted to record the show, because about a year before I had gone to the Paul Gilbert Clinic. And I'll do a video on that when I hit 2,000 subscribers. The Paul Gilbert Clinic was really cool because he gave a handout. It was almost like an hour-long lesson. And I thought this clinic was going to be like that, so I was like, let me bring a tape recorder, so if they give handouts or whatever they're doing, I can kind of follow when I get home. So there's me outside the clinic waiting to go in. Really the clinic was, well, they called it a clinic, but really what it was, I think, was to kind of introduce the N4 guitar. And I actually took the banner or the billboard that they had outside. That I don't know if I took it, they let me take it, but I put some pictures up. There's the Skankinator with a different neck, the Skankenstein guitar you've seen in some videos. I did a video on it a while ago. It's kind of a cheap body. I put a Kramer neck on. And then one of my Kramer guitars that was once red that I actually bought from Steve from Boston and painted it striped. And I have a duplicate version, but I never did a video on that. And I'm not sure if you can see that guitar body there I brought with me to the clinic, and Nuno signed it. But some reason I thought I had a picture of him signing it, but I couldn't find it. I don't know if it was the president of Washburn or some guy from Washburn was there, introduced Nuno, or maybe he was part of artist relations or something like that. But I remember before the show started, I actually managed to push my way in the front row and sat down, and I seen his guitar. When I heard the first album, I started seeing Nuno in some of the guitar magazines, for Washburn ads. And he had just like some kind of guitar, looked like it had a Floyd Rose on it, but it didn't look like it was anything special. I think it was just kind of introducing him. And I wonder if that time they were working on his model, which would be the N4. So when I got there, they had in a guitar stand the N4 guitar. Granted, this is not it's kind of like an N4, but it isn't. But just, from a distance, I'm looking at the guitar because it was on the stage before Nuno comes out. And I'm like, gee, that looks really weird. And I couldn't, I didn't see the back of it with the extended cutaway and just the way this is made. It's so unique. I just saw like this and I'm like, gee, why is the neck connected there? What's going on with this? And then, Nuno comes out and really he was kind of Washburn working with Nuno, promoting the guitar and promoting Pornografiti. Talked a lot about the guitar. I remember one of the kids in the audience had asked if he could have Nuno teach him how to play the beginning of Play With Me. And I think Nuno kind of said, well, you got to figure it out yourself. And I don't think he was doing it to be sarcastic, because I've seen like in other interviews, now he'll do like some videos on how he plays a certain song. But I think his thing was, it's better for you to just sit there and keep learning it to help develop your own style. And I get that. I mean, now I think just the stuff's been out there for so long and people are asking him. So I've seen some videos where he kind of breaks down some of his songs, which is awesome because you're really seeing how he does it, because he's just such a unique player. But at this clinic, really didn't do guitar lessons. Talked about his influences, talked a lot about the guitar, which was great. And, even when you look at this, the reverse headstock, which, a lot of Strats would be like that. Or guys back in those days where their boutique guitars would have a lefty Strat headstock. But his had the little scoop over here. And so it was just, even when you look at this guitar, even though it's not a real N4, it just looks amazing. It's a real comfortable guitar too. I've actually played the real N4s. Obviously, the quality is going to be 1,000 times better than on something like this. But this neck is pretty similar to his. Hopefully once I get my hands on an N4, whether I can find one on a hot deal or Washburn will send one to me, I'll just do a kind of a comparison and really do a deep dive like I do with my other reviews. So back to the clinic. He ended up playing about 4 or 5 songs that were off the album with to a backing track. And I know he definitely did it. I remember him. He did "It's a Monster." I think he did "Pornografiti." "Get the Funk Out," because that was one of like the singles that was out there. And then he did "Flight of the Wounded Bumblebee." And I remember, like, you heard the ticks coming on, and I'm like, well, what is this? What's he going to start doing? And I was just like, wow. It was. I mean, I love that whole "Flight of the Wounded Bumblebee" thing. Granted, I know he uses a delay, and it's not going to sound anything like this at all because he has a delay, and his timing is just so perfect. But you get it. I'll try to do a video on it when I get an N4. But I just throw some more pictures up here. So he played those 4 songs, and it was probably about maybe an hour long or something like that. He talked a lot about the music business, talked about, getting signed, and I think A&M was the label they were working with, and and they were just really hustling to make, to get the band off the ground, and just to get to where they are. And it was cool. He played a lot of stuff, and it was just like for me, it was like a lesson because I was literally 6 feet away, so I could just really see what he was doing. And granted, I couldn't do any of the stuff he was doing back then, but it was just really cool. And then after, he signed autographs and stuff like that. So it was really cool. I just wanted to share this. I'll have some pictures up. I'll actually put a link down below for the review that I did on this. And that's about it. Any questions, email me, leave a comment below. I know this wasn't a long video, just wanted to share some info on what I think about Nuno's new songs, which are awesome. And even the solo on Rise, I hear a little bit of "You'll Be Hip Tomorrow." Just a couple of phrases in there when he starts going into that, where he kind of mutes the strings and he's hammering and pulling. It's just amazing. So if you haven't heard those 3 songs, Rise, Banshee, and Rebel, they're all over YouTube, or you can download them, I suppose. So that's about it. Thank you for watching the videos. Please share and subscribe. And right now, I'll do the solo for Decadent Dance and try to get as close as possible. Thank you for watching.